Look, I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon. I knew this would happen. This happens every single time. I'm not gonna lie to you. It happens every single time. Like you guys have seen the highs and the lows. You've seen the spikes and the dips. Like I've been feeling great one day, amazing, fantastic. The next day, it's just down in the dumps. Like I don't get it. I'm not gonna say I was down in the dumps today, but compared to yesterday's high, it was definitely a lower. It was definitely a lower level of energy and readiness to be social and be active and be engaging. It was just like a took like two, 3 notches down from yesterday, right? But this is the thing. This is one of the reasons I might hypothesize that this happens is because that when I'm so excited and I've got so much energy, I find it naturally harder to fall asleep, even if I am calm. I don't know what energies cruising through my body at that point in time is keeping me awake. But the thing is, why it's confusing is because that would make sense if it was cortisol and adrenaline cruising through my body because they're stress chemicals and they're gonna keep me awake. Cortisol needs to be low for you to free fall asleep. That is the time of day when your cortisol is the lowest when you sleep because you need it to be low when you sleep, right? And then it steadily rises as you wake up, and then you can do things in the morning like techniques such like I take a cold shower. Obviously, the best thing for a natural cortisol spike is morning sunlight. As soon as you wake up, you can do a cold shower and you can do exercise as well to also accelerate that peak. And you want to accelerate that peak so you have maximum natural alertness and awake and energy readiness. If you get the vibe that I'm putting down, right? And so these though that would make sense if I was running on stress chemicals yesterday, but there was no way in hell I was. I refuse to believe it, but or maybe I'm delusional. But I just don't see what would have led me to be running on stress chemicals yesterday, right? The cortisol and adrenaline. I just don't think it was the case. So I'm gonna hypothesize that today because it took me like I cut an hour of my sleep, right? And I get barely just 7, so I got like just under 7 yesterday and I mean the day before, and then yesterday I got just under 6. So that probably hour of REM sleep that was cut probably resulted in me having that sort of because that 1 hour REM sleep is actually quite important, you know. If you miss that 1 hour, you've essentially if you think about it, you've lost a quarter of your no, because the majority of your REM sleep happens in the later half of the night. So if you miss that hour and you have 4 hours, you've essentially lost kind of like half. Is the math in there? I don't know. You tell me in it. But as you can see, like I still got the fluidity of the speech. I still got the way of communication. So essentially, I've may have carried things over, and this is really where I'm putting effort into the way I'm trying to really link my words together, make it flow nicely, and you know what I'm saying, have a direction. And so maybe I think maybe that was lost during the day. I just didn't have a sort of motivation to actually put the energy that I have available to use, right? Because yesterday I was in the office and I was speaking to people and I had work going on and I had this going on and I had a lot going on and I had a lot to like, okay, I got this coming up, let me prepare for it. I got this coming up. This should be interesting. So maybe I had like a lot more motivation during the day naturally from my schedule, right? But today it was just kind of just doing some chores and shit, you know what I'm saying? Doing all of this stuff. I had to go run some errands, do some shopping, and then just do some work at yard, which wasn't really rating because it was just like I had to look at emails and that, and then build a truth set. Like being a data scientist is a bit long sometimes, you know. Like you have to build your truth sets and do it all manually, and that. I just want to ask AI, but I need a validation set to validate AI's and verify AI's outputs, right? So I can't ask AI to generate something that it can validate itself against. That's fundamentally flawed. But yeah, tangent. But yeah, no, me being in front of this camera now is making me realize that I do have the energy, clearly, because the way I'm saying, laying it down right now, it's making sense. Because yesterday I was bringing you a lot of energy, brought you a lot of energy from the get go, because that's just how I was feeling. But before I stepped in front of this camera, I did not have this sort of energy. Right, I was in a mid level, but I still it's there. It's dormant. You know, it's lying. It's waiting for something. I think it's that motivation because I get it when I'm communicating with people. when the first initial conversation is like and it's like, well, if it's a good conversation, you sort of kind of get more energy from it, and you kind of get more engaged and interested, right? And so I think dopamine is playing a big part in this. Dopamine is playing a big part in this. You know what? My dopamine sensors are fried, anyways. My dopamine sensors are fried, but that's my fault because of what I've done in my past. Drugs, this, that, and the other. Like, it's better you just don't start. Do you know what I'm saying? It's better you don't start because listen, I had a question the other day. I know I was exploring a question I had yesterday, no, earlier today, about why is it that we remember the highs but not the lows? Why do we remember the rush but not the crash? Why is that? Well, what I found is that when dopamine spikes, dopamine is a motivational drug, and it also is primarily responsible for learning. And so when that dopamine spike is high, you're telling your brain that, okay, this is what we need for survival. Learn this behavior. This is what we need, because that's what that spike in dopamine is. So let's say take that, I hit the nicotine, I hit the vape, my nicotine spike, and it's like, okay, we need to do this again. This is fundamental to survival. Learn this. So now it's hardwired in my brain. And then when I crash later on and my dopamine levels are below baseline and this, that, and the other, is there's no learning happening there because dopamine is not there's dopamine is below baseline. So it's not learning. When dopamine spikes, then that learning period is there, right? So it only exists for that period of time. So I've learned the good behaviors, and the bad behaviors don't get learned. And the other crazy thing is that when when there is a chemical that's opposite to dopamine, right? And it has the same sort of like opposite effects in that dopamine you feel good and happy and motivated, while I forgot what it's called, like dianatomy or something like that. You can search it, but it's a chemical that will cause like stress, like it'll cause you feel like stressed, exhausted, fatigued, like unmotivated, literally like the opposite chemical, right? But you know what's crazy? When that chemical is released, that just triggers more cravings. That is our response to feeling stressed, fatigued, whatever, down in the dumps. Is to bring our dopamine back up to level. So it's essentially acting as a trigger for the very behavior that may have caused it in the first place, for the very behavior that is damaging. So it's like we're losing on all fronts here. With the it's just the way the products that we have today that spike dopamine in that way, and just is it's it's just not it's just it's just like it feels like that. Okay, this is where it all breaks down, because the fact of the matter is it's just so easy to do the wrong thing. Like, there's something called temporal discounting, right? So we take into account it's something like we take into account immediate rewards rather than the future, right? We tend to discount the future because what's immediate is more compelling to the brain, and that's just the feature of the brain. So all of these features that we have, that we've evolutionary that have been given to us evolutionarily, will work against us in our current environment, especially as people are actively working to tap into these primal drives and desires and instincts, right? And so it's very, very hard. So you must stay vigilant. You must stay disciplined. But yeah, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I'm gonna keep these videos short and sweet as well, because I don't know. I gotta try something new in it. I gotta try a different format. I'm gonna just high energy, low, small, what? High energy, smaller length of video. Because at the end of the day, it makes it easier for me to edit. But that's not the main reason. That is actually a very compelling reason, because that means I can be more consistent and I can deliver more value in a shorter space of time as well, right? I can deliver more value to you guys, right? And I don't waste you guys' time. I don't waste my time, because it's better I give you high energy, a lot of value, rather than medium energy, a lower value. Um, I mean, yeah. Well, why wouldn't you want a higher value in a lower amount of time? It's just that's the best way to receive information. You It's engaging, it's concise, and it's short and sweet, simple. Okay, wait, no. And then the main reason is I'm not really getting any views, so I've got to switch up anyway. I've got to switch it up and see if something something else works, right? But yeah, that was the idea that I was thinking about today. That was going through my head like, why do we remember the highs but not the lows? Why do we remember the rushes but not the crashes? Like the crashes, and this is another thing because I'm thinking of the negativity bias that we have, right? As that's evolutionary wired. We remember the negative things because we remember the negative things more because the negative things might kill us, right? That was the evolutionary instinct. That snap in the woods, that branch crackling, that could be a tiger. So we're gonna focus on the negative things way more than the positive things because the negative things could affect our survival, while the positive things not really, right? And so I was thinking, how do you reconcile the two? How do we always remember the good and always remember the bad? But there's also one more thing, right? There's something where we actually tend to more forget the negative experiences that we've had, so we don't get live, so we don't get trapped in our past. So we live in the past, so we don't. That's the whole thing about trauma. We overcome trauma. Imagine if it was if we remember the negative experience so much more than a positive, then we would get stuck in our traumas. There would be no way out. But our brain is lax on that, so that we can escape. So that also works into it. So it's like all these different factors in play here, but I don't have the answers, right? And I was thinking about what's my duty? What am I really trying to do for you guys? And I've realized that in me to you and in normal conversation and everyday interaction, my duty is to widen the perspective. My duty is to widen your perspective. My duty is to give you different ideas, different things to think about. Because I think that's one of the most going to be one of the most valuable things that you can have today. With the fact that AI is fundamentally convergent, right? It's probabilities, and you can give it a start an idea, and it's going to converge into the most probably probabilistic thing, right? And so there's going to be a lack of this sort of divergent thinking, creative thinking, like, and the narrowing of perspectives. And we need to keep that wide so we can explore different ideas and philosophy and bring new ideas to the table, because old ideas have been repeated time and time again. And listen, the old ideas may ring true because they're so fundamentally true. But listen, there's always going to be new things we're still expanding the knowledge of humanity as we know it, right? And so there's always going to be new things. So we can't get stuck in the past. We got to have different perspectives and different ideas such that we can venture out and really, really take things there, take things to the next level, right? Don't get stuck into the cyclic thinking and the rumination. It doesn't do anything. It's not good, right? And then I'm not even gonna, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there. So I'm saying short and sweet. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully I can go to bed very quickly today. Short and sweet. You know what I'm saying? Short and sweet. That might be my new catchphrase. Short and sweet. And I'm gonna leave it there. Short and sweet. No, I'm tweaking.